Hey, Lee Tribe, and anyone else new to the channel. So I apologize, you guys. It's been a few weeks since I've done a video. I try to do at least once every other week, but I've been sidetracked, been out enjoying life now that we're kind of getting sort of back to normal. So work just hasn't been a priority for me, which is a good thing. But I wanted to talk about merch by Amazon, especially, but just print on demand in general, and how my strategy has changed since I started. Because the problem with someone like me teaching, making money online, or anyone, is a lot of times you all tend to follow people like myself that have an early adopter advantage, right? And I'm always upfront about that. And as a result of that, some of the strategies that I used back then are not going to be relevant today. So who cares that I had a big check last month if 40% of the sales were from designs that were 3 years old? That does not help you. And I think people assume because I took my merch course down in 2019 that, she must not be doing well anymore. I'm doing very well with merch by Amazon. It's my best print on demand. I think there's the most opportunity there. I am so happy to have an account because a lot of people just could not get accounts. So guard that sucker with your life if you happen to get one, because there's still a lot of opportunity out there with it. So what I want to talk about in this video is what has changed. Like, how has my strategy for how I find keywords and all of that, what am I doing now that's working? Because that's really all you care about. So the first thing that has changed for me is the evergreen versus trend or / holiday strategy. When I say trend, I'm also lumping holidays in there. I don't typically do a lot of trends on Amazon. Like, I don't go and say, this is a trending topic, let me go target that. I tend to focus more on holidays, which kind of has the same effect where you're going after something with a lot of volume, a lot of opportunity, but I don't necessarily do trends that much. But when I started on Merch by Amazon, I was heavy on holidays. My very first month was October. I killed it on Halloween with just the 25 tier. They didn't have the 10 tier. And I did like $700 on the 25 tier for Halloween. With holidays, you can make a lot of money in a short amount of time because there's so much demand. Like, there's so many people buying t-shirts for holidays. But now I find holidays to be a lot more competitive, and I do still target holidays. And if I sell something, it won't sell as often as it did back in the day. But now I focus a lot more on evergreen design. So an evergreen design would be an occupation, a sport, but narrowed down. My thought process is I would rather have 500 shirts in a month selling once or twice than to only go after these high competition spaces with a lower chance of selling. So when I look at my sales in the last 6 months, for example, the new designs, not the designs that have been selling for a long time with tons of reviews, but the newer designs I've sold in the last 6 months have been evergreen designs, mostly very niche down keywords, much like I showed in that last video with the girls trip idea. And that brings me to my next point. What's also interesting is when I first started on merch, and again, it was lower competition, I would always go for the niches like soccer, or I would just narrow it down a little bit, like soccer shirt for girls or baseball shirt for women, something like that. And I had shirts that were killing it. But I rarely sell in those common spaces anymore. And I feel like when people get into print on demand, they always go after those same spaces: soccer shirts, dog shirts, teacher shirts. And you can still sell in those spaces, especially if you cross niche like I'm always talking about. But it's interesting when I look at my stats, I rarely sell like in those common spaces anymore. So that girls trip Las Vegas shirt idea that I talked about in the last video, that's a greater example of something I would go for now, because it's not a topic that the average person would think of, and there's not going to be as much competition. So I'm constantly going after those spaces where when you do a keyword search, you get 300 results, 400 results, not 10,000 results or 5,000 results. And those seem to work the best. So if you were to see my sales report for this month and my newer shirts that I've uploaded in 2021 or late 2020, those shirts would all have a smaller number of results. And that's been a big change. Whereas I had a soccer shirt for girls, you guys, back in I think it was 2016 or 17, and that sucker was selling like crazy. Well, it's nowhere to be found now because the soccer space is just so competitive. So try to find those less common spaces. Like I was saying, girls trips and narrow down to specific destinations. Instead of going after the common sports, think of ping pong, think of table tennis, and look for ways to narrow those ideas down. I don't tend to focus as much on those everyday common phrases that everybody tends to go to. Just like I talked about with my friend in the last video, she's in a space most people don't know about. And that's one of the reasons she's getting sales every day on a very low tier. She's working that same keyword over and over again. And that's what I do on merch. I have about 5 or 6 niches that I continue to work over and over again. And I'm just creating and creating and creating. And the nice thing about that strategy is I can focus on what I love. And that's the creation process. And that's why I feel like it's so much more enjoyable for me, because honestly, I don't enjoy the keyword research process. I really don't. A lot of y'all ask me, why don't you ever do RedBubble keyword videos? Because I'm not doing research. I have my same niches, keywords that I am working over and over and over again, and it's working really well for me. I'm getting multiple sales per day in 2021, and I'm selling all kinds of different products on RedBubble. Something else I've been doing with merch, and I've been trying to break through with advertising. Now, this tip is not going to be for everybody, because I know a lot of you might not want to spend money. And look, I totally understand that, because you don't need to make sales. 99% of my sales have come without advertising. But because print on demand has been so insanely profitable for me, I mean, I literally have spent almost nothing on this. It's been mostly time, more than anything. So I don't mind reinvesting profits back into advertising and hopefully make more. And so in March, end of March, I started running an ad, and I've done advertising before, but I always tend to just like break even, or maybe even be a little under profit. So I thought, okay, I'm going to just, in my mind, I'm just going to say, here's $100. I'm going to be okay with losing this $100. I'm just going to see what's going to happen. And I'm glad I did. So the shirt that you're seeing, or the report that you're seeing now on the screen, this is a shirt that I put out there. It sold, I would say, within the first couple of days of me running the ad. And I left it out there. I started to see my profit level going down. I was like, I had spent $30, but I had made 36 or something like that. So I didn't really tweak the ad, but I turned it off. So the amount that you see is what I have earned not since I turned off the ad. It's a combination of the total amount that I've earned minus the ad spend. So take away the $36 or whatever I spent on ads. So I have about 5 or 6 shirts out there right now that I'm having a little bit more success with advertising. Not ready to do a video on this yet, because I am still learning. I still haven't learned how to tweak the ad to where I can continually draw a good profit. What I tend to do is I'll get a couple of sales, turn it off, and then let it sell continuously. And that's what you're seeing with the shirt on the screen. But I'm determined to learn advertising, you guys. I used to try advertising with Facebook ads and Teespring back in the day. I even attended a conference about that. I tried Google AdWords back in the day, not for print on demand, but for other stuff. And I just really couldn't master it. I got tired of throwing my money away, but I'm trying to be patient because I really want to learn this. And I feel like there's a lot of opportunity with ads because most people don't want to pay for advertising. And I'm not mad at them for that. But if you're willing to, there's opportunity. Another strategy, I spend time targeting a lot of the non-t-shirt products. I feel like everybody only focuses on t-shirts, but as I mentioned on my podcast, I'm selling phone cases like every day, multiples. And yesterday, I don't think I sold a phone case, which was very, very rare. But here's the thing that you guys don't realize about phone cases. You don't necessarily have to look for phone case keywords. You can actually upload designs from your t-shirts that are selling well, and it could be the exact same designs. Now, what I did is I started with my t-shirts that were bestsellers, and then I worked those same spaces by making new designs, especially patterns. Patterns do really, really well on phone cases. So I've spent a lot of time doing that, but you don't necessarily have to look for a phone case keyword. You can work the same niches that you're working for your t-shirts. And people will spend $20 on a phone case, especially if it's very well designed. But people like patterns. And to my guys out there, women buy the phone cases more so, the pillows, the totes. I haven't done that well with the pillows, but the totes and phone cases I've done well with. And that's when you have to really tap into that female market, because that's really who's buying those products. And I just tend to sell more products for females anyway, because I'm a female, so I tend to kind of gravitate toward those niches. But yeah, there's a lot of opportunity out there. And when I say a lot of opportunity, I mean, when you do a search for a keyword, you get that 200 result, 300 result. That's what I look for. And those are the spaces that I tend to sell in, whether it's t-shirts, phone cases. And there's a lot of keywords out there like that for the phone cases still, even though it's been like a year since they've been out there. Now with pricing, has my pricing strategy changed? I do believe it's lowered a bit on average because things are more competitive. So if I'm in a space and I start seeing it get competitive and I notice my design is not selling as well, I might bump the price down a bit. But in general, I still tend to price higher than the average person. And this is, again, the advantage when you're in a lower competition space and you have a unique idea. You have the luxury of charging more because you're not competing with as many people. See, the people who have those strategies of, oh, I'm just going to copy or do a close rendition, yeah, they have to price lower because there's not much difference in the designs that are already out there. That's why I like being in those low competition spaces, because if I've got a bomb unique idea, I can charge $20, $21 for a phone case. Nobody's out here competing with me in terms of that design quality. So that's the beauty of being in those spaces. And I feel like so many newbies with print on demand are always going after those same keywords, those same spaces. There's tons of opportunity out here, especially on Merch by Amazon, because you can niche down so many different ways and they have so much demand, so many shoppers. And so that's the beauty of it. So if you have a Merch by Amazon account, guard that sucker with your life, because I just think it's going to get more valuable over time. Yes, the competition is more fierce than it's ever been. That's not going to change. But they seem to be more selective about who they're allowing in the program. They seem to be getting a little bit better with getting rid of the copycats. Obviously, it's still a problem. It will always be a problem to an extent. But I just have a feeling more products are going to be coming. And I also wanted to mention something about rejections, because I know a lot of you fear getting rejections. I actually was invited out to meet and tour the Amazon facility for merch. They invited some of their best sellers out there from the area. I did ask them about the rejections because that was my concern. And they were saying that before they get rid of somebody, they look at the severity of your rejections. They're typically not just going to go, oh, you just had 5 rejections, you're done. If you're uploading something and it's an honest mistake, like maybe it was part of your description, but it happens to be the same as someone's brand, they're gonna be lenient about that. They're typically gonna be more harsh on people that are getting a lot of rejections for the amount of uploads they have and the severity of the rejections. So don't stress too much about those rejections, but at the same time, try to be as careful as you can, because so many people would love to have that Merch by Amazon account. And I think as time progresses, it's going to be more advantageous to have an account because we're going to get more and more products. So I'm loving MBA. So let me know, you guys, what you think and how has your strategy changed since you started with print on demand? Let me know. I'll see you in the comments. By the way, if you're new to print on demand, be sure to check out my complete guide for beginners. It is incredibly detailed with examples and guidance, perfect for a newbie or if you're struggling with your sales. Simply visit passiveshirtprofits.com, scroll down to the bottom and click the thumbnail. See you there.